Welcome back to America's Forum. If you're keeping score at home, you have to understand it's not a game. Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, Iran, Russia, the rise of ISIS. So many different locations, so many foreign policy crises. And our president's handling of those crises creates a lot of concern, and understandably, a lot of that concern comes from the loyal opposition. With more on the story, we're very pleased to be joined by Raffi Williams, the Deputy Press Secretary for Youth and Conservative Media at the Republican National Committee, and of course also here, our good friend out in the desert, our co-host this hour, Rusty Humphries. So Raffi, we joke with you about being listed among the eligible bachelors, being picture perfect, all that goes on in the social world from Washington. But apart from that, sir, the foreign policy has not been picture perfect on the part of this president. And there was more criticism last week when Susan Rice came out to say that the administration's strategy was, ta-da, strategic patience. Raffi, what does that mean?
It means a whole lot of nothing. It goes back to this idea that Obama believes we live in a utopia where everyone should take care and love each other. But instead, it means they're not taking the crises that we're seeing abroad seriously. When it comes to Russia's increasing power grab in the Ukraine, when it comes to the civil war in Syria, when it comes to the growth of ISIS, when it comes to the civil war in Yemen. Remember, the president touted our strategy working in Yemen and that it was successful. But what are we finding out now? Yemen's on the brink of civil war. Our embassies are being evacuated. We are having serious problems abroad, and it's because of the lack of leadership. Strategic patience is no leadership, absent president here. When we need to project power abroad, we need to show that we're a strong nation, not to be messed with. Instead, we're allowing our enemies to grow in strength and numbers. You see, ISIS this week had reports that over, I believe it's 20,000 new recruits are coming in. They have 3,000 of those coming from the West. This is really troubling, and it's his lack of engagement abroad that's let this happen.
You know, JD, I don't know why anybody's surprised with all of this. This is exactly what Obama ran on the first time, the second time, and it's just happening the way that guys like you and I predicted. But Raffi, the question is, are the young people starting to wake up and switching from supporting a guy like Obama or Hillary and moving more towards the right because they're seeing the left doesn't work?
Well, you're definitely seeing young people put foreign policy as a priority. For the longest time, it was jobs in the economy was the largest priority for young people by a 20-plus point margin. Now we're seeing foreign policy become a close second in their priorities as they go to the election booth and as they think about world affairs and politics. So now what we're seeing is them putting more emphasis on it, learning more about it. But let's be honest, they're drinking from a fire hose if you're just trying to learn now. So what Republicans have to do as a party, as campaigners, as policymakers, is make sure that we're stressing our good governance in when it comes to foreign policy, that we are leading when it comes to this issue and not having strategic patience, as Susan Rice said.
National security takes many different forms, Raffi and Rusty. You've got border security, which is something, Rusty, you and I have been stressing for a long, long time. There's also the emerging realm of cybersecurity. And the president's headed west, going to speak out at Stanford on that subject today. Yet it's interesting that some of the internet mavens of Silicon Valley are staying away from the gathering. Larry Page, Mark Zuckerberg, Marissa Mayer, are those internet magnates looking at the political calendar and understanding the president is a lame duck?
Well, I think they definitely are looking at it and seeing him a lame duck. They're also seeing a president that's not putting this issue at the forefront and giving the attention it needs. Again, strategic patience when it comes to protecting our country seems to be the trend that they have here. This is another example. Last year, the Congress, House, GOP controlled, passed a bill that would have helped our cybersecurity by exchanging information from private and public sector so we both can work together to prevent attacks like happened against Sony. But instead, Obama didn't push for it. The Dems stalled it up in the Senate, and nothing came to fruition of it. And this is another example of Obama's empty rhetoric. So this forum that they're going to have where Obama is speaking is going to be another empty rhetoric speech, another campaign-style event for a lame duck president who isn't interested in taking action that's going to help the American people and make our national defense stronger.
You know, one of the things that really surprised me this week is the book 1984 came to life with the TV companies saying that, hey, be careful what you say around your television. I mean, that's right out of 1984. Is the younger generation, Raffi, concerned about things like that, or is it just they've grown up with so many TVs and cameras and recording devices around them, and it's no big deal anymore?
No. Privacy and security is a big youth issue right now, and you have to look at the emergence of the app Snapchat just to see how young people are putting privacy at the forefront, because they see what happens when people have stumbles online. There was a whole article written in the New York Times yesterday about how young people have had their lives destroyed through social media through making silly mistakes that young people will make. So now they're very much concerned about their privacy, their emails, their text messaging, what they're putting out on Twitter and Facebook, and so they're going to Snapchat and apps like Whisper that allow them to do it secretly and allows it to disappear. And so I think they see Obama's lack of engagement on this as truly troubling, and so another sign the Democrats are going to struggle to compete for young voters coming up.
And Raffi, while we see the reticence in terms of committing our nation to aggressive cyber warfare against our international enemies, there is a movement afoot in terms of controlling the internet. One of the Republican commissioners at the FCC was sounding the alarm this year. This is an issue that I think has to cut across demographic lines, because we have a generation raised on the internet now. About a minute 30 remains for your response, sir.
Well, I think what you're seeing with this net neutrality debate is Obama and some big corporations are saying, you know what, I want more government control of our regulation. As a Republican, I can't imagine how government control is going to help this at all. The internet has been a place of innovation for years now, and the pace at which it changes and which it grows is exponential. What you're seeing Obama do is try to slow this down. You're seeing the FCC abide by Obama's will here, and it's really troubling for the future of the internet, for the future of tech innovation, and it should be troubling to all Americans, because now they're going to have to pay more for internet, get worse service, and young people are going to be dialed into this issue. It's very complex, but young people are going to pay attention. I think the issues that we've gone over in this segment are real issues for young people coming up in 2016, and issues that Republicans are going to be able to stress to great success with younger voters.
Well, we will see about that. Obviously, since 18-year-olds have the right to vote, we expect that in the future they'll exercise that franchise in increasing numbers. Raffi Williams, our thanks to you, sir, as you Skype in from Washington, D.C., and to my old pal, Rusty Humphries, hosting the new podcast, Rusty Humphries Rebellion. Thanks for checking in via Skype from the desert. There is much more to cover on this Friday. Right now, we're going to step aside. Miranda Khan has a Newsmax Now update, and then we'll continue here on